Did you see that moment when Carlos Alcaraz completely took control of the court and left Casper Ruud scrambling for answers? Because what happened at Indian Wells was not just another win, it was a statement, a loud, unmistakable message to the entire tennis world that the number one player on the planet is playing at a level that might be terrifying for the rest of the tour. And if you think this was just another routine match, stay with me, because there's a deeper story unfolding here. A story about dominance, revenge, momentum, and a streak that could turn the entire season upside down. Carlos Alcaraz stepped onto the court in the California desert carrying momentum that most players only dream about. 14 consecutive victories already in the bag this season, confidence sky high, movement razor sharp, and a serve that suddenly looks more dangerous than ever. But on the other side of the net stood Casper Ruud, a player who is far tougher than casual fans sometimes realize. Ruud is not flashy, he is not loud, but he is incredibly disciplined. He grinds, he fights, and when his rhythm clicks, he can make even the best players uncomfortable. So, on paper, this looked like a serious test. What nobody expected was how quickly Alcaraz would grab control of the match. Right from the opening games, Alcaraz looked locked in. His footwork was electric. His timing on the forehand was frighteningly precise, and his serve, which has quietly become one of the most improved weapons in his arsenal, was nearly untouchable. The first set turned into a whirlwind. Within minutes, Ruud was under relentless pressure. Alcaraz attacked early in rallies, stepping inside the baseline and dictating with heavy topspin and sudden bursts of power. Breakpoint. Ruud tried to respond with patience. He attempted to extend rallies. He tried to drag Alcaraz into longer exchanges where his own consistency could shine. But Alcaraz wasn't having it. One explosive forehand winner later, the break was secured, and suddenly the crowd at Indian Wells started to feel that buzz, that familiar energy when something special is happening on court. Because Alcaraz wasn't just winning points, he was overwhelming Ruud. Another break followed, then another. The scoreboard quickly turned brutal. 6-1. Just 37 minutes. That opening set was a masterclass in controlled aggression. Every serve placement was sharp. Every return had intent. Every rally seemed to tilt in Alcaraz's favor almost immediately. But here's the thing about Casper Ruud. He rarely disappears from matches completely. And the second set proved exactly why he remains one of the toughest competitors on the ATP Tour. Ruud adjusted. Instead of trying to outgun Alcaraz from the baseline, he started using heavier spin, higher margins, smarter placement. The rallies grew longer. Suddenly, the match became a chess game rather than a sprint. You could see Ruud slowly settling into the conditions. The desert air at Indian Wells can make the ball behave strangely. Sometimes it jumps, sometimes it floats. Even Alcaraz admitted afterward that controlling the ball was tricky. But great players adapt, and Ruud began doing exactly that. He started holding serve more comfortably. His backhand cross-court found deeper angles, and little by little, he forced Alcaraz to work harder for every point. For the first time in the match, tension appeared. The crowd leaned forward. Could Ruud push this to a deciding set? Game after game, neither player blinked. The scoreline tightened. Pressure increased, and eventually the set reached the moment where everything could change, a tiebreak. Now here's where elite champions reveal their true level. Because when the margins shrink and the pressure spikes, the best players don't panic, they sharpen. And that is exactly what Alcaraz did. From the first point of the tiebreak, he flipped the intensity switch again. His serve found corners. His forehand exploded through the court. His movement turned defensive positions into instant attacks. Within moments, Ruud was chasing once again. 2-4, 1.5, 2. You could feel the inevitability building. Then came the final surge. Alcaraz closed the tiebreak with authority, sealing the match 6-1, 7-6. Another victory, another statement, but here's where things start getting really interesting. Because this win wasn't just about reaching the quarterfinals. It extended Alcaraz's winning streak to 15 matches. 15 to end. Professional tennis, that kind of streak doesn't happen by accident. It means every part of a player's game is clicking at the same time. Serve, return, movement, confidence, and right now, Alcaraz looks like a player who believes he can beat anyone. After the match, he spoke honestly about the conditions. He admitted that the ball was tough to control and that the desert air made things tricky for both players. But what stood out most in his comments was the quiet confidence in his voice. He said his first set performance was incredible, and he wasn't exaggerating. That opening stretch might have been some of the cleanest tennis we've seen from him all season. Now, the big question becomes what happens next, because waiting for Alcaraz in the quarterfinal is a player who knows exactly how to challenge him. Cameron Norrie. If that name sounds familiar, it should. Norrie is not only a former champion at Indian Wells, winning the title in 2021, but he is also one of the few players who has managed to frustrate Alcaraz in the past. And here's where the storyline gets even better. Last year at the Paris Masters, Norrie actually defeated Alcaraz. Yes, the world #1 remembers that match. Tennis players never forget losses like that, especially competitors as fiery as Alcaraz. So this upcoming quarterfinal suddenly carries an extra layer of intrigue. On one side, you have the hottest player on tour riding a 15-match winning streak. On the other side, you have a former Indian Wells champion who has already proven he can beat him. But before we jump ahead to that battle, let's talk about something bigger. Because what we are seeing from Alcaraz right now may be the early stages of a dominant stretch in men's tennis. Think about the ingredients. He has explosive athleticism, he has creativity, he has the ability to switch from defense to offense in seconds, and now his serve, once considered a developing weapon, is becoming a serious problem for opponents. When Alcaraz lands that first serve with accuracy, it opens the entire court. Suddenly, his forehand becomes even more dangerous, his drop shots become more surprising, his net play becomes more effective, and that's exactly what we saw against Ruud. Nearly flawless service games, minimal pressure on his own serve, maximum pressure on the return. That formula is terrifying, because if Alcaraz continues serving like this throughout the tournament, beating him becomes an extremely difficult task. Now let's talk about Ruud for a moment. Even though the scoreline might look harsh, this wasn't a terrible performance from him. In fact, the way he fought back in the second set showed real resilience. Many players would have faded after that brutal first set. Ruud didn't. He adjusted tactically. He stayed calm. He pushed the match to a tiebreak. That says a lot about his professionalism and mental strength. But sometimes in sports you simply run into an opponent who is operating on another level that day. And that's exactly what happened here. Alcaraz wasn't just good. He was sharp, fearless, and relentless. And the crowd in Indian Wells could feel it. Every time he unleashed one of those explosive forehands, the stadium erupted. There's something uniquely exciting about watching Alcaraz play when he's in full flow. The variety, the creativity, the unpredictability. You never quite know what shot is coming next. A drop shot, a laser forehand, a sudden net rush. That entertainment factor is part of why fans around the world have embraced him so quickly. But let's circle back to the upcoming showdown with Norrie, because this is where things could get really interesting. Norrie's style is very different from Ruud's. He plays with a flatter trajectory, he takes the ball earlier, and he thrives on disrupting rhythm against some players. That approach can be incredibly frustrating. The question is whether it will work against this version of Alcaraz. If Alcaraz serves as well as he did against Ruud, Norrie will have very limited opportunities. But if Norrie manages to extend rallies and slow the tempo, the match could become far more complicated. And remember, revenge is a powerful motivator. Alcaraz knows Norrie beat him in Paris. He knows critics sometimes question his consistency in indoor conditions and tactical battles. So don't be surprised if he comes out in that quarterfinal with extra intensity, because champions love proving points. And right now Alcaraz seems determined to prove something to the entire tour. That he is not just the #1 player, he is the most dangerous player, the most explosive player, and maybe the most entertaining player in men's tennis today. Now, here's the question I want to throw to you. Is there anyone in this tournament who can actually stop him? Because when you look at the way Alcaraz is moving, serving, and attacking right now, it feels like the momentum is building towards something special. Another title, another statement, another chapter in what is quickly becoming one of the most exciting careers in modern tennis. But tennis is unpredictable. Momentum can shift. One tough opponent can change everything. And that's why the upcoming quarterfinal might be one of the most fascinating matches of the tournament. Will Norrie repeat his upset from Paris? Or will Alcaraz continue this incredible run and push his winning streak even further? One thing is certain, if Alcaraz plays at the level we saw in that first set against Ruud, the rest of the draw should be very nervous. Because that version of Carlos Alcaraz looks almost unstoppable, and if you love tennis, you know we might be watching something special unfold right now in the California desert. Before we wrap up, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Alcaraz is the clear favorite to win Indian Wells this year? Or could someone like Norrie spoil the party again? Jump into the comments and tell me what you think. And if you enjoy deep tennis analysis, dramatic match breakdowns, and all the biggest stories from the tennis world, stay connected with RedDust Report. Because when the sport delivers moments like this, you know we're going to talk about them. And trust me, with Alcaraz playing like this, the story is only getting started.